Yo, Salaam Nerds! I am here back with my boys, Jazz and Lone Wolf 7. What's going on?
Yo, I'm Jazz. I am a nerd from Houston, just chilling with my broken arm.
All right. And then we got Lone Wolf 7, who I know from TikTok, who's a big gamer. He's on Twitch. Tell us a little bit about yourself again.
So I'm into geek and nerd culture. I specialize in video games, specialize even more into fighting games. I'm part of the fighting game community on TikTok. Follow FGC TikTok, hashtag FGC TikTok. And currently I'm in a tournament also, TikTok tournament for King of Fighters. And I also like geek stuff. And I believe through the geek stuff is how I met Neebs.
Yes, sir.
How I met Neebs.
What if
How
FTC?
I met Neebs.
How I met Neebs.
We have to do a special on that, like to invite all of our guest stars. How did I meet you?
I'm gonna do like a take all the videos and make it a montage of how I met Neebs. But that's cool. What is FTC? I don't know what that is. Is that like
FGC? So fighting game community.
Oh.
So we go to tournaments, and TikTok and online has really helped. So social media has really helped because as a Muslim, we can't gamble. So a lot of like the tournaments are offline. We got to put money in, and whoever wins gets all the money in the pot. But like online tournaments, people are like, no, this is going to be a free tournament because, internet connection might be bad. We don't want people losing money. So it's been a real cool thing to have online tournaments. Follow FGC TikTok Saga for the current tournament that's happening.
Very cool. Very cool, man. Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of fighting, let's talk about some of the best fighters in the galaxy, which is Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. So let's talk a little bit about this episode before we start. This episode has been sponsored by Halal Shirts, halalshirts.com. This is the For the Culture shirt with Punjabi truck art, so check it out if you guys can.
I actually ordered that one last night.
Nice.
I personally bought that. I
want one now.
Well, what color do you get? What color do you get? I got the white.
I got the white. I think the colors pop on the white
White
background.
looks really, really good, but then you got to be really careful because, like, when I go to eat, I got to take it off, and I'm like, I don't want to get.
Good point.
I don't want to get masala.
You know what? I'll deal with that later.
I don't want to get masala on my hoodie, man.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, Book of Boba Fett. This one actually didn't have a lot of fighting, but it had some cool stuff. So, we start off with this episode with Mandalorian going out to find Baby Yoda. Or Grogu. Grogu. Gotta say Grogu. People get mad if you say Baby Yoda. And
But people are okay with calling him Mandalorian, not Din Djarin. Like
that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
People are dumb, so
it is wild. But man, was this episode a great episode. Like, honestly, man, what a time to be a Star Wars fan. Technically, it's always a great time to be a Star Wars fan, but right now, like, could you ever imagine this episode the way it came out? Like,
it was straight up fan service. I was so like in the beginning, I was like, "Oh, this is so cute. They're gonna reunite. That's gonna be awesome." And then you see, before I move forward, if you have not seen the latest episode of Book of Boba Fett, please close the podcast right now. There are major spoilers right after this. So, yeah, okay. And now that you have your chance to close it out, and hopefully you watch it, and now that you're back after watching it, let's get right back into it. Okay, so when Ahsoka showed up, I was like, oh my god, I love Ahsoka. God. And so I was so hyped to see her. And then, of course, R2-D2, the moment they landed, like it was a straight up fan service. But I need to talk about the very end, man.
No, let's wait till we get to the very end. But like, how
you want to wait? That's my favorite part. Okay.
So let's get to the part where like the Mandalorian comes in and he sees all these androids and robots making the temple, right? And like, oh my god, that was so cool to see. And
I will say this. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but this is the first live action Star Wars show, movie, anything that my kids actually watch. And the R2-D2 part where he just shuts down.
Yeah.
Right? And the Mandalorian and Din Djarin gets frustrated. That part made my kids laugh. So I feel like this last episode of Book of Boba Fett and that scene that you just described, I could finally now have my kids watch comfortably live action Star Wars.
That's cool.
I don't know what happened, so I just wanted to cut you off and say that. I'm sorry.
No, that's cool.
Go ahead.
But I love how it's bringing in this stuff from the sequels, right? It's going to make the sequels so much better when it puts these layers of information on there. It's so cool. It was a big thing to see that temple get made, and then Baby Grogu is like the first student of for Luke Skywalker, which is really maybe. So
I'll just be honest. I hated the sequel trilogy. Like, I think
I like
it was a colossal waste of time. Like, I think episode 7 and 8, right?
Yeah.
I think it was a good start. But then episode 8, what they did, they essentially just said, okay, screw everything before, we're going to reset the whole thing again. And I'm just like, are you shitting me?
Yeah, I mean, I like The Force Awakens a lot, and I liked a lot of things about The Last Jedi, but the way they kind of just, like, what they did with Finn's character, what they did with, like, I didn't like that, right? And it's not the best, but, you know, like, look, sometimes things are not the best, and then give it a few years, and more story gets added onto it, layers get added onto it, and it's not as bad. Like, look at the prequels. People hated the prequels, and now Revenge of the Sith is, like, one of the people's, like, favorite movie. The Clone Wars made the Attack of the Clones so much better. And now I feel like the last episode of The Mandalorian even made The Phantom Menace better because they referred so many things to The Phantom Menace in that episode. So, you know, give it time. Who knows, right? If you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine. But, you know, I don't feel like people should be gatekeeping or being toxic about the sequels, right? But,
That's fair.
Personally, I like the sequels rather than the prequels. My only problem with the sequels was the last movie. I just didn't like the pacing. Yeah. Which is, you know, it's not like, oh, I don't like the movies because the story wasn't the way I wanted to go, which I think it's a dumb thing, right, to complain about. But, like, I feel like the pacing of the movie and the MacGuffins, like, MacGuffin after MacGuffin is just like, guys, like, this is, like, chill. Like, who was editing this movie, right? So... yeah, bro. I think as a trilogy as a whole was pretty good.
But like even if you don't count the trilogies, right? Like look at what we still got. We got another season of the Clone Wars. We got a season of Bad Batch. We got the Mandalorian. We got the Book of Boba. We got Rogue One. Rogue One is like phenomenal.
Rogue One's number one.
So the people saying that are like Disney is killing Star Wars, it's really not, man. It's really not. There's so much good Star Wars out right now. And this
I'll say this: my brother's not a Star Wars fan. And he loves Rogue One, and he also likes the Solo movie.
Yeah.
And he's not a Star Wars fan. And me personally, being a child of immigrants, right? Like, I don't have the nostalgia of my parents taking me to watch Star Wars, right? So literally, my introduction to Star Wars was the EU, with Corran Horn and Dash Rendar were my favorite characters. And then what happened was, when Disney took over, they deleted everything that introduced me to Star Wars. So to me, Boba Fett was always a Mandalorian. Boba Fett was a Mandalorian who trained Han Solo's daughter how to fight other Jedi because she had to kill her brother, right? Which I feel like Boba Fett's been my favorite character, and I love the Mandalorian since the EU days. And I feel like I want Boba Fett to get that glory again. That's it.
I think it will.
Yeah.
So you were saying something right before this. What was that?
I don't remember because Lone Wolf 7 made such a great point that I kind of forgot.
Yeah,
but no, it's the legends, right? It just turned into legends, and it wasn't canon anymore. And you know, but there's still great stories. And if you haven't seen Star Wars Vision, that is amazing. Yes. The katana fights. Oh my god, it was so good.
My kids love it.
I love that.
You know the music episode? I know you said it on TikTok. That wasn't one
my
of
favorite.
People's favorite. Yeah, my kids love the music episode. They ask for the music episode over and over again. Yeah, by the way, the point you were making, I'm sorry for cutting you off, was, if you even forget the movies, like trilogies, we're getting a lot of Star Wars.
Right.
And Disney's doing an overall good job.
I think so, too. I think they're doing an overall good job. And I'm excited for it. And there's a lot of cool Star Wars stuff coming out. It's like one of the best times to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, back to the temple being built by the ant pots. Yeah, that made me very happy. I was like, oh, okay, I can see how this ties in now. Okay, cool, neat.
Yeah.
But yes, Grogu, what's going to happen?
I don't know, man. I did like Ahsoka. Like, I knew what Ahsoka was telling her. Like, the second she was like, let's take a walk, I'm like, oh, he's not going to get to see him.
I cried.
I was like, no.
I'll be very honest, I cried.
Like, that's like when your manager is like, hey, we need to talk. Like, there's never a good
right. Here's the thing. There is a comic book that takes place after Kylo Ren is born, or Ben Solo. And, like, technically in the comic it says Ben is his first student, right? So I don't know what happened to Grogu, but in the comics, which is canon, Disney, somewhere it says Ben was his first. So unless they're contradicting or retconning their own comic, or someone messed up, Yeah.
Let's fact check this real quick because I know we can do this.
Yeah, you could. Hold on. I want to know Star Wars.
I didn't think of that. That's interesting. Did they say that Ben was his first student?
Oh
And,
my god!
there
yes.
is-
It's
there
right
is-
there on Fandom. Apart from his mother, Ben Solo became the first apprentice of his uncle, Luke Skywalker, and proved to be the most gifted student of the Jedi Master.
Ooh, so what does that say about Grogu? Does that mean Grogu goes the way of the Mandalorian?
Oh no, they spoiled it.
There's a book. The comic I believe is called Star Wars: The Rise of Kylo Ren.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So technically, he's the first student. Grogu, and this came out December 18, 2019. So when did Mandalorian start airing? Season 1.
This was after, or Mandalorian started airing after. So
Yeah.
this is gonna confirm, yeah. If that's
So not just that, but the Rise of Kylo Ren ended March 11th, 2020. So they have plenty of time to figure out where they're going to place things.
Oh no, that's. I mean, honestly, I'm not mad at it, but I do feel like it's taken a little bit away from the next episode. So we'll see.
Neves, you gotta move closer to your mic, man.
sorry.
You gotta move.
I was like, I'm not mad at it, but it's going to take a little bit away from the next episode, so we'll see.
You know
I
what?
think it spoils it.
Well, what do you?
I mean,
what did you guys want? Did you guys want him to go to the way of the Jedi, or did you want? Him
No,
to
God, no.
Mandalorian.
That actually.
100% Mandalorian. I want that man to have the Darksaber with the Mandalorian armor. I want him to get some Force training, and I want him to be like Ahsoka, be like, peace, I don't want to be a Jedi. Because here's the thing, I know last episode you guys talked about Mandalorians coded Muslim, but the whole, at one part they said the Jedi's ideals are complete opposite of the Mandalorian, where Jedi is all about like individualism and breaking off bonds,
Yes.
while like Mandalorian is all about family and loyalty, which I think is like a super Muslim thing,
Yes.
right? Collectivism. So I feel like nah, man. And being a Boba Fett fan from the EU days, I want the Mandalorians to finally get their shine. Jedi, I'm gonna say this right now. My favorite movie is Rogue One, and I feel like the movies that have the less Jedi and the shows that have the less Jedis are just better.
I would say the ones with the
Wouldn't
least
disagree
amount of
with
Skywalkers is better. I feel like that's.
Okay, fair.
that's
I'll
fair.
take that. I'll take that.
God, y'all are so right. Like, I'm actually really disappointed in Luke right now. Like, they're making him look like this robot. And even in the original trilogy, and in the, like, he wasn't this robot. He had emotions.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, I'm a Jedi Master now. I have to be this person. And
Like he's the one that convinced
like
his
it, man.
dad, right, to come back. He was like,
Yeah.
like feel it in you. You know it to be true, right? He's the one that got through to him, and he didn't get through to him because of like this whole I don't have attachments kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting, but I'm pretty stoked to see what's gonna happen. So we'll see. But I was surprised to see that it was just like chainmail. I thought it was gonna be like a legit like Mandalorian suit they made for Baby Yoda. Man. I thought I'd give him a little Baby Yoda helmet with like space for the ears, like a little helmet. Like that's what I thought we were gonna see.
Well, interesting you bring that up. Did you guys notice that the armor actually has horns on her head?
Oh, yes.
Because Darth Maul,
Yes.
what do you call it?
Yes.
In the Solo movie, spoilers, he's in control of all the, what do you call it? He's in control of all criminal syndicates, right? And he was also in control of Mandalorians with the horns. Now, remember in Book of Boba Fett, Fennec was like, we're going to have to ask permission to kill the Hutts. Who do they need to ask permission from? The same syndicate, the whole Solo syndicate.
Yo, are we going to get Darth Maul in the next episode? Whoa.
No, he's probably dead. But
No.
Well,
He was alive
have
in
you
Solo.
seen Clone Wars? Or
oh
was
no,
it-
Obi-Wan killed him in Rebels. Obi-Wan killed him in Rebels.
Oh, Obi-Wan did kill him in Rebels, but
But the timing,
You're right,
the timing
you're
of it. Are we after Rebels right now?
No, we're after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Oh, I got
We're after
excited.
Return of the Jedi.
I got excited.
But I do feel like that Black Sun, I think it was called the Crimson Sun or Black Sun Syndicate. I think that has a. You might see Han Solo's wife, right, from the comics. You might see her. That's what a lot of people are.
Well, we haven't
talking
seen
about.
who was the female Sith? Was it Baroness? No, not Baroness. It was oh
She
my god.
was a female Sith, but
No, there was another one. Oh my god, her
Mar-
name is her name is speaking. But I don't know. The thing is, like, I don't really like this, to be honest. Like, so Marvel does this too.
Ventress.
Yes,
is
yes.
what you're talking about.
So I don't really like this whole, like, oh, we're gonna save the whole thing for a big villain reveal. Like, I'm not a big fan of that. Like, I feel like I want to know the villain from like episode 2 or 3, and I want that villain to get his own story. I want him to be built up. Like the big reveal of Kingpin being at the end, the big reveal of the Power Broker, the big reveal of like, you know, Taskmaster, like all of this stuff. Not Taskmaster, but still like. No. All of these people, like they Kingpin, they build them up all the way to the last episode, and then you're like, oh, that's a big reveal. But like, you get like 1 or 2 episodes with the villain, and you don't really feel connected. And I don't like this. It doesn't do it for me. And I feel like Book of Boba is doing the same thing, where they're just like, we don't even know who he's fighting. They're going to reveal somebody in the next episode. It's going to be dope. It's going to be cool. But we don't know who it is, right? And like they already introduced Cad Bane, which I think was like amazing. That was awesome. If Cad Bane becomes the main villain, I would be happy. But I feel like they're holding off to be an even bigger villain. But oh my god,
Cad Bane's a bounty hunter, so it's definitely a big boss.
But not just that, I believe the Pike Syndicate. The Pike Syndicate is also part of the overall criminal empire that Darth Maul created.
Right.
So that's also another thing that people gotta watch.
Unless it's like Amelia Clark's character, right? From Solo. That could be it.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, that's what it could be. So a lot of people are thinking Amelia Clark's gonna come back.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that because Darth Maul is dead, and she could have taken over. But I'm super excited. Here's the thing. As a Boba Fett fan, I want Boba Fett to be like he was in The Mandalorian when he came with that stick and started beating up every stormtrooper. I want to see that Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I just want Boba Fett to be in action.
I know. I feel like he is taking a seat back in his own show, and I feel like that's not doing him service. I'm not a big fan of that, but I don't know. They might have something, they might have built something up. I'm not a big fan of this build-up stuff, but who knows? We'll see how it goes, right? I want to see him in action for like most of the movie, most of the season, but we haven't really seen anything about him. We've just seen him take a bath pretty much the entire.
Like we seen him chop because you showed Boba Fett in The Mandalorian when he was defending Grogu when Grogu was meditating in that temple, right?
Yes.
And he was using the Tusken Sand people's stick, and then he got his own suit which had missile launchers on the knee. Yeah. Like I want to see those knee missile launchers again, right?
Yeah.
So and then from like the EU, he is known as like he's known, right? Like that, at one part he like Black Sun Prince Xizor, I forget how to say his name. Like he took that guy hostage because his people were after him, right? So like what do you call it? Boba Fett's supposed to be like John Wick almost. Mm-hmm. So that's what I want to see. I want to see a John Wick Boba Fett who's also very strategic. He's not just a small-minded bounty hunter, but he understands the politics of the criminal empire.
I don't know. I don't know where they're going with that. I'm excited to see it, so we'll have to figure that out next season. But the other thing I want to talk about was the Batman, right? The Batman's coming out in March. It's already February. We don't have a lot of time. The trailers have come out. The cool promotions they're doing. It looks amazing. And they just released the funeral scene, which I thought was really, really cool. What are your thoughts?
I am hyped.
Yeah.
That's the only word I have for it. I am super hyped. I know people have always been doubting Robert Pattinson because Twilight, but honest to God, he is such a dynamic actor, and Twilight is probably his worst movie.
It was his first movie also.
I feel like he didn't even like the movie. Like he talked trash about it, and like I don't think any of the actors in Twilight actually liked Twilight. Right? It was just a paycheck, and I'm not mad about it, man. Get that money. I don't care, man. You want to put me in Twilight? I'll go in Twilight. I'll get sparkly. I don't care.
And I don't think that was his fault. The writing was so bad. The dialogue in those books are so bad. Like, I don't care what actor you put up there.
Twilight.
Right. Anybody you put there would have been in the same scenario. Would have been just as bad. The movies would have been just as bad. You could put, like, Ben Affleck as it. I mean, he's not a teenager, but it would have been just as bad. You could put Tom Holland in there. He would have been just as bad. Like, this is not Robert Pattinson. In fact, I recommend a lot of our Pattinson's other movies. They are amazing, and you realize the depth of him as an actor.
They've been really good. I'm a big fan. The thing is, like, people always say this because they said the same thing about Heath Ledger, right? Who is this pretty boy who's going to play the Joker? And look what we got. We got one of the most incredible performances of all time, right? Yeah. So it's definitely one of those things, like, you can't just write them off. Like, I think Robert Pattinson's going to give us a phenomenal performance. Colin Farrell, I think, is going to give us a phenomenal performance.
Yeah.
Like, man, the scenes that I've seen him in, like, whoa. And, oh, my God.
Like, look at Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, when the movie before Titanic, when he's...
Romeo and Juliet?
He's disabled. No. Like, Leonardo DiCaprio, if you see his early works...
What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
And then... I don't know, he it's the movie where he's always touching his nose. Like that. I forget. It doesn't matter. But if you see his early works to what he is now and all the different roles he's had, like you know, like I think Robert Pattinson. I'm not saying he's as good as Leonardo DiCaprio, but it's the same like trajectory. You know, started off and is getting better and better. I'm not excited for the Batman movie. I have reservations. I hope it's more detective work and not like more Silence of the Lambs type movie than like Super Cop.
I feel like it would.
I don't want to see Super Cop.
It does feel like it has a noir kind of feel to it, and it is going to go into. Honestly, if you're going to go into Batman detective work, the Riddler is the best villain to go into detective work, right? And like I've said this all the time, Batman. Before all else, before being a superhero, before being like a good guy, before being like this anti-hero, Batman is a detective. That's what he is at his core to me, right? And he, you know, Detective Comics, that's what he was about. And it's one of those movies that's going to go back to that. We've never seen it. They show like little glimpse of it in the Nolan movies, maybe a little bit in Batman Forever, but like nothing like this, right? And I'm really excited. I want to be in that movie, and like I want to be guessing the riddles with Batman. I want to see if I can figure them out, and it's one of those exciting things. And if you watch Batman the animated series, which in my opinion is the best version of Batman, there's been this
100% agreed.
There's an episode where the Riddler traps him, and like Batman is quoting like Arabic scripture and stuff to figure out the riddles. It was really cool. I remember this one episode where he was like, "Oh, this clue is written in Arabic, but it doesn't make sense." And he goes, "Oh, but the people in Islam read from right to left, so because of that, this whole thing is backwards." And like he figured out the Riddler's thing, and I was like, "Oh man, that is so cool." I felt so seen in that. It was really cool, and like I think that's one of the times where I'm just like, "Wow, that's what I want to see," right? Because Batman is basically like. Based on Sherlock Holmes and like the Count of Monte Cristo and like all these characters that they kind of combine to make Batman, and I'm really excited to see them, you know, go into this aspect.
Here's another reason why I think it's going to be more detective work. If you look at Robert Pattinson in the trailer, the one with the funeral scene, he's very skinny.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's going to be a lot of like fighting. Like he didn't build him up that much, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be more for that reason, not as much action, and so. I think, Lone Wolf, I think you might be pleasantly surprised. I'm being cautious, right? Like, I like Batman. I have a Batman shirt. You watch my TikToks, like, I feel like 80% of my TikToks have my Batman shirt. My favorite superhero of all time is Tim Drake, which is the third Robin, right? So it's not like, and I love the 90s cartoon, but I just feel like there was a fan film of Batman where, like, he looks super scary. Like, he looks like a shadow coming off the ground and stuff like that, out of the ground. And that scared, like, the criminals. So I feel like I want, like, a fear aspect, a Silence of the Lamb aspect, and, like, a detective work noir aspect. And recently, I feel like because of, the Dark Knight Returns comic and Frank Miller's work and Christopher Nolan's work, he's been, He's become what right wing think what the Punisher is with the skull and the blue line. He's become a super cop. He's like I don't want to say it that way. He's become a super cop, and I just don't like that because he was more like the Punisher who worked outside the system, right?
Yeah.
But also with the system. But now he's become just like violent cop. This is how we gotta do it. There's too much red tape for the cops, so I gotta go do it. And I'm just like, I'm not. Especially with how the world is today, I feel like you don't want to go down the Frank Miller, Christopher Nolan route.
Yeah, I'm curious how we're going to see, because they do show a relationship between him and Commissioner Gordon, and it's going to be a little bit more like how getting clues and solving crimes. I hope they're going down that route. It'll be really cool. I'm excited for it. It's going to be crazy,
excited.
and I'm really excited for the new Catwoman. Like, oh my god, yo, fire!
There are two kinds of men in the
Fire.
world.
Yeah, the Catwoman. And one thing that does scare me is that at one part he gets super aggressive and he's beating up somebody, and Catwoman gets scared. That's the part where like I'm concerned about because I don't want a hyper aggressive Batman. But that's all.
I do feel like if they're are going down that route, it's early Batman, right? And he's learning, and he's got a lot of anger, and he's challenging all right. Because even in the Batman trailer, he doesn't say like oh, he goes, I am vengeance or something, right? And Batman isn't about vengeance; he's about justice, right? And I guess this might be the movie where we find him finding that balance of like, oh, this is not about vengeance, this is about justice, and this is a movie that's going to help him figure that out. So it might be a little bit of what you're afraid of, but it might be the point of it. It might be, how his arc.
It might pay off in the end.
Yeah,
okay.
It might be his arc.
That's fair because I hope they do build him up over multiple movies and not just one movie. So if that's the case, then I don't mind being a little disappointed in
Dude, the other thing that you're saying, I feel like they should do it. They should make more Batman movies, but every single one is a different type of genre, right? This is noir. They should make a horror Batman. They should make like a fantasy Batman. Like they could make different types of Batmans and like come out with one like every few years, and they'll still be fresh takes on them, right? I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad. They could still have like their DCEU Batman, but I wouldn't mind to see a horror Batman movie.
No, there's a fan film. I'll send it to you after the podcast, and hopefully you could share it.
I've seen the fan.
Scary.
Yeah, I've seen a fan film called Batman Dead End where he fights the Predator. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about, but that one is amazing.
No, I don't know if he fought the Predator, but like there's a scene where like the henchmen are looking down, and it looks like Batman's coming out of the ground in this dark silhouette. And like legit, when I saw that, I'm like, yo, that's scary. And honestly, if I was a villain and I saw that, I would be scared of Batman too.
Yeah,
right.
Because that's one of the big part of Batman's, right? Because like he is there to scare the villains, because villains are very superstitious, right? They're a superstitious lot, is what they say in the comics. And Batman uses that to his advantage. More than a bulletproof costume, more than like these gadgets, he used the element of them being scared of him, right? Being an urban legend, a myth, right? So that's what he uses to scare these guys. And I definitely would like to see a movie where they go into that. That'd be really cool.
I also want to see a caring Batman, because like what you were saying, what Batman's about justice, there was I feel like the 90s cartoon, the animated series, I saw a more caring Batman, and then there was before New 52, it was during the 1 year later run, and Catwoman got pregnant, she had a baby, and like Batman comes and visits her, it's not his baby, she had a baby with someone else, and he holds her baby, and he's like super gentle with the baby, and Catwoman in her internal monologue was like, people get Batman wrong. People think it's all about vengeance or justice. It's not about that. It's about making sure no child feels what he felt, right? Which to me, I was like, bro, I was in tears when I was freaking reading that line. I was like, yo. So I want a caring Batman. And then there was a comic where he fights a bunch of people, and there's like night workers. I know we want PG, so we'll say night workers. And he beats up their boss, and then he gives them all business cards to apply to Wayne Enterprise to get a better job, right? Yeah. So, like, I want that caring Batman.
I think that's a good point.
I'd like to also point out Ace from the animated series.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, that scene, I cried when I was younger. I distinctly remember crying in that. Because this was in Batman Beyond, actually.
Yes,
it wasn't
it was Batman Beyond. It was like the epilogue. Epilogue.
No, it was epilogue for Justice League.
For Justice League. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Justice League? Okay, yeah, that's right.
It's the last episode of Justice League.
It was Terry McGinnis talking to Amanda Waller because he found out
Yep.
he is Batman's son.
Yeah.
Which is, right. You can watch that episode if you haven't seen it, but what it was that there was this kid, her name was Ace, and she had powers, and Cadmus Project used her, but she lost her childhood, she became angry, and she was dying. And as she's dying, her abilities are destroying the world. They're warping it into her imagination. And Ace has this, I believe it's some type of device that will kill her, and Batman has a detonator for it. Amanda Waller was about to use it, but then Batman was like, no, let me take care of this. And he walks in, and instead of using it, he just sits with Ace, holds her hand as she's dying, and she knows she can read people's minds, so she knows what's coming. And I distinctly remember, like, I was like, oh my god, this is the kind of man I want to be. Yeah. That in the face of extremes, I still have that compassion in me.
Yes.
And Ace unfortunately did die at the end of that episode, and it broke me, man. I'll be very honest. I was crying at that.
Yeah.
It's a great episode. And even in the cartoon, like, they always show, like, people always say, like, oh, Batman could be doing better for the community. But in the Batman, the animated series in the 90s, they always show that, right? They always show him giving jobs to people. He gave jobs to Tetch. He gave jobs to Clayface. He gave jobs to all of these people. He would have Leslie Thompson run his hospital to give people free health care. Like, he did a lot. And they actually go ahead and actually talk about that quite a bit, which they don't talk about in any other Batman, except in the funeral scene. They did talk about that. They said, oh, his family used to be a big philanthropist, and they haven't seen him do enough, and they wanted to talk to him about that. I think there was a scene, and I hope they address that, and I hope that'll be really cool. So I'm excited for this movie, man. So
call it the billionaires.
Yes,
call them out for not doing
the
enough.
1%ers of Gotham City, right?
Yeah.
70% tax. Let's go.
Let's go.
Bring back the 70s.
Tax the billionaires.
Let's go.
Pre-Reagan.
All right, I think we're almost out of time, so we're going to say, we talked about the Mandalorian, we talked about Batman. We'll have some cool stuff to talk about next week. Lone Wolf 7, thank you very much for joining us. It was really cool to have you on for the episode. Hopefully, we'll come back again. We're going to bring you on as our religious consultant every now and then.
Sure.
Share your knowledge with us so we don't get canceled.
Wait. Before we go, I have a question. In Star Wars, you know how it's in a galaxy far, far away from a long, long time ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that mean I can eat the pigs in Star Wars if I'm Muslim?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know when the. Here's the thing.
Space pigs.
Here's the thing. People like right now, Islam's already been revealed, so you can't. But let's say if you live before in a time before, like, the first sins when Adam was alive were like what? Murder and like stealing, right?
And no eating apples.
And yeah, sure, right? And then like nowadays we have like riba, right? Like obviously, if Adam was was told, hey, you can't have riba interest. For those of you watching, like he'll be like, yeah, what's interest or banking, right? So like, it depends, right? Depends on when revelation occurred. I'll say that.
Would the rules apply to me if I'm not on Earth?
Yeah, the rules apply. Haven't you watched Riddick, bro?
Okay, that's right.
Earth doesn't exist,
yes.
and you're still going to Hajj.
Yes, I remember that.
That's right.
Yo, bro, I gotta go make a pilgrimage to Earth. I gotta go make a pilgrimage to Earth.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's all right, man. That's all we got for today's episode. Catch you guys next week, man. We're having a lot of fun with this. We don't have a lot of followers, so please follow us. Anyways, that's all we got.
Subscribe.
Yes, like, share, subscribe. All right.
Like, share, subscribe.
And if you guys want to be on the show, let us know, man. We'll bring on anybody. We don't care. All right. Thank you.
Watch the weirdest person come down.
I don't care, man. Weird is good, man. We're all about weird. All right, guys. Thanks for joining, and we are out. Salaam Nerds.